Welcome back, YCN Sports Talk. Jeremy Stout, Dave Collins, and Dave, we were talking about some NFL. We'll get to some more NFL, but let's talk about this weekend. We got some games on YCN, some college games.
Well, first, if you'd like to give us questions, comments, regrets, RSVPs, sportstalk@ycnnow.com. Another triple header here on YCN starting Saturday afternoon at high noon. Georgia State visits Appalachian State. 3:30 Northern Illinois at Ball State, and then at 7 o'clock the nightcap on Saturday here on YCN. UTEP will visit Louisiana Tech. And our high school football game of the week, it takes place Friday night in Claremont. We'll air it for you on YCN, 7:30 in the evening on Monday. Kearsarge at Stevens High School. Stevens with a big win holding off at Newport last weekend, so a big game for the Cardinals in Claremont.
And that was their homecoming, Newport's homecoming. Stevens taking the win, and you'll be on the call for that one on Friday night.
Yep, airs Monday night, Kearsarge at Stevens, Monday night, 7:30 here on YCN.
All right, back to the NFL. We'll go over to the NFC this time and talk about, give me a team that maybe has impressed you so far. It's a short season, but every win counts, every week counts in the NFL, as you know. What's one of the teams that maybe has impressed you so far?
In the NFC, Minnesota, with all the injuries. Bridgewater out, Bradford in, who really couldn't do much last season for the Philadelphia Eagles. I know he tailed off at the end. And you've got Adrian Peterson out for the Minnesota Vikings. They now stand at 3-0. Green Bay 2-1. Detroit 1-2. Bears have fallen off the face of the earth. They're 0-3.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. Minnesota, I also think Philadelphia, and we'll talk a little bit about them coming up. But it's kind of funny how those two teams have crossed paths. You have one quarterback going to Minnesota, as you mentioned, Bradford, and that opens up the door for Wentz to do what he did. We'll talk about that game against Pittsburgh. But I got to give it to Minnesota. Yeah, they played the Bears, I think, one of the weeks. The first week, maybe, was it? Or they played somebody who was not that good. But then the last 2 weeks, they played Green Bay, and then they go to Carolina, and they win that game on the road against Carolina. So they don't look like they're overpowering teams, but they're getting wins. And even if they go 500 the rest of the way, should make the playoffs.
And they are hosting the New York Giants on Monday night, and the Giants coming off of a terrible loss to Washington. You know, it used to be the Giants would have these comeback victories a couple of years ago with Tom Coughlin. Past 2 seasons, though, and I realize Coughlin was there last season, it just seems they have a way to squander the game in the last 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah.
They lose at home to Washington. Now they've got to go on the road to Minnesota, not expecting the Vikings to be 3-0. It's going to be a tough task for Eli Manning.
And the problem with the Giants, and I said this at the beginning of the season, that last year they lost so many close games, and it's not luck that you lose those close games, but usually they even out in the long run if your team is good. And if you're in the game, you're going to find ways to win. But this year, once again, they're going back to that same situation where I guess they found ways to win some of the games, but this last week against Washington, that's got to be devastating when you're at home, trying to defend your home turf after beating New Orleans, looking to get ahead in the division, and lose, and now you got to go into Minnesota on Monday night.
Yeah, Eli just looked like he was forcing too many passes, kind of like Fitzpatrick was. Eli was doing that against the Redskins, and Washington was right there to intercept a few balls, a couple of them in the red zone.
Right, and that's the key, where if you're driving to score, you need to be able to punch it in, end it with a field goal or a touchdown, an extra point. Going to those Eagles, we talked about them just briefly.
Pennsylvania, right?
Pennsylvania, you mentioned it in last week when we were previewing the games, and they do what they need to do, and they put a pounding on Pittsburgh. Does that say more for Pittsburgh, and maybe they're missing Le'Veon Bell who's coming back, or is this Eagles team finally, we can say, they're for real?
3 games and a bye week this week for the Eagles. So this is like the inopportune time.
Right,
You're still in October, first week of October, and you get the bye week. They have off this week. They'll be in Detroit next Sunday on Sunday the 9th at 1 o'clock against the Lions. Right now, I'm not buying it completely. I'm headed home to Philadelphia this weekend, so I'll get a better feel.
Be loving it.
And next Wednesday's show, Jeremy, I'll let you know, if I come back with some Eagles garb or an Eagles logo tattooed on my head because everybody's drinking the Kool-Aid down there. Impressive, though, against Pittsburgh. But you got to realize something. They haven't played an NFC divisional opponent yet.
Right, and they do play that after that Detroit game. So they have the bye, and then they go on the road to Detroit, a winnable game, and then they go to Washington, another semi-winnable game. We'll see which Kirk Cousins shows up. And I really think this Eagles team, 4-1 is not that hard to believe.
No.
splitting those 2 road games.
Not yet. I think there were so many people in the organization, maybe on the team as well, that were just ready to push Chip Kelly out. They knew it was toxic. You've got Doug Peterson in there. Remember, he was the quarterback for the Eagles for a few games way back when, so he knows the system. He knows how to deal with the media, too.
And he knows how to deal with
players.
Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing that's underrated. Yeah, we give credit to Carson Wentz, but when you talk about a rookie quarterback coming into the system, you've got a guy who was a quarterback, your offensive coordinator was a quarterback's coach, and you got to give credit to this whole team. They've turned things around.
Everything is gelling right now. I really think, though, Eagles fans wish they had 2 or 3 more games under their belt before that bye week came.
Yeah, it is a tough time to get the bye week, but hey, get some rest, go win a couple games on the road, and this team's looking like a favorite in the NFC East. When we come back, one final segment, we'll talk Dartmouth football. They have a big game as they open up their Ivy League schedule this week, coming off a big road win, and we'll, of course, get our NFL picks. I think Dave's still up 1 game on me.
I think so, and we'll reveal some more memorabilia. By the way, it's like a flea market here. We'll take anything you got. Celtics, Bruins, Patriots, Yankees. We'll take some Seahawks stuff.
Limit the Yankees stuff,
okay.
But we'll take a little bit.
Sports Talk at YCNnow.com, and we will reveal more pieces of memorabilia when we come back.
YCN Sports Talk.